everybody, and welcome to Ghosts of Dufferin County and Beyond. We're doing a little bit of a different edition today. I'm at home, you're at home, because we are in the middle of COVID, but we're all in this together. So I'm so excited that we can put some episodes together this season. It's going to be fantastic. Today's show is pretty incredible. So I want to start by introducing our guest, who is the incredible Jackie Dennison. Now, Jackie is an internationally acclaimed clairvoyant medium and a spirit artist. Now, Jackie is also the star of the TV show Rescue Mediums, and I know so many of you are fans of this show. So I was really excited to bring her into the fold here. Jackie is also co-founder of Feathers Academy, which is a spiritual center in Northwich, Cheshire, England, which is where Jackie's joining us from today. Jackie, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Marianne. Thank you for inviting me. This is really exciting for me.
We're so excited to have you here. Now, for any of our viewers at home that aren't familiar with Rescue Mediums, tell us about the show.
Basically, we just go into haunted houses to find out who is haunting and why they're haunting. But the cool thing is we help the spirits over if they need help into the light. So if they're trapped, we just help them over into the light. I think we're probably one of the only shows really that, having helped them over to the light, we have a researcher who is able to go and research the information that we've got during the rescue situation, and then is able to piece it together with the evidence. So there's a beginning, there's a middle, and then there's also an end as well. So I think that's what's really cool about Rescue Medium. I love working on the show, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's, when I watched the show too, some of the most interesting parts was the research bit. So that was always really fascinating. And when we were coming up with the sort of concept for Ghosts of Dufferin County, I really wanted that to mirror the work that really takes place in real life. So the work that I do in real life, the work that you do in real life, and not just, a part of that for the show. And so part of Ghosts of Dufferin County also includes, releasement or rescue work, which I find just brings another level of reality to the show. And that's what I always appreciated about Rescue Mediums as well. Now, Rescue Mediums ran successfully for many seasons all over the world. So really incredible stuff, lots of accolades, really amazing. So tell us, how did Rescue Mediums come about? How did you start doing this work? How did you start doing the show?
Well, I've been doing rescue work for a long time, long before Rescue Mediums came into being. But would you believe it? Through family history. I was doing my family history and I was looking for my great-grandfather. Couldn't find my great-grandfather anywhere, but I did find his brother. And his brother emigrated to Canada from England. And my cousin that I found on the internet through doing family history, she started to research the family in Canada, and I was researching the family in England. And she found an address. She contacted this person at this address and said, my cousin in England is a medium, and she's looking into the history. Do you know anything about the history of your house at all? And it happened to be the house that belongs to Michael Lamport, who is now the producer of Rescue Mediums and the narrator and the writer of Rescue Mediums. And it turns out that my great uncle Oliver actually built his house. It's incredible how I've still not found my great grandfather, but I did find my great uncle Oliver. And the uncanny thing is, Uncle Oliver is still in that house with Michael. They get on like a house on fire.
Wow. What a fateful meeting. I mean, you just couldn't choreograph that any better, right?
I know. And it's just, when people ask me that question, it's just so bizarre that that's how it happened. So I really believe that my spirit family orchestrated the whole thing. They wanted it all to happen. Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. Right. There's really no denying that bit. Now, tell us, Jackie, how did you actually come to do spirit releasement work? How did you come into rescue work? What sort of brought you there?
Thrown in at the deep end.
Give us an example. Give us an example.
Thrown in at the deep end. Well, it's really bizarre how it happened because myself and my sister-in-law at the time, Christine, who I did the first 3 seasons of Rescue
Oh,
Me.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we were called in to a house to have a look at some things, that paranormal things that were going on there. They couldn't quite make out what was happening. Knew we were mediums and invited us into the home. And the bizarre thing was with that, before we went, our spirit guide said, you'll see butterflies. You will see butterflies there as a confirmation that you're meant to be there. When we got there, it was like a manse, to a church. So it had been the house belonging to the priest many years previously. It was privately owned then, and they weren't in. So we went into the church to wait for them to come home. And this was February, mind. And at the bottom of the altar, there were butterflies flying all the way around. Incredible.
Wow.
Anyway, cut a long story short, we goes into the house. We do the investigation, having a look round, and we came across the energy of a young boy with Down syndrome. So he was about 9 or 10 years of age. And he told us this really, really sad story that, he'd been chained up in this house and he was taken out by the maid at night, had to live on the top floor of this house. And we ended up doing a rescue with him. His grandfather came for him and took him to spirit. And as he was going, he sort of he waved to us like that when he was going. It was a lovely, lovely, happy ending. But what we didn't know was the homeowner said to us, I want to show you something. And she took us up to the attic and showed us a cupboard. And there were the remains of chains in there that she had removed the week before we'd gone. And she knew the history of the house. And this had all been set in the 1920s. And that's exactly what had happened. So that was the very first rescue that we ever did. But we literally were thrown in at the deep end with it.
Yeah, it's funny because I think I don't know that anyone really chooses to take that on as a calling. Even in my own experiences, same thing. I remember the first rescue I did. It was never planned. I was in a house doing a clearing of energy, a bit of a house blessing. Didn't know what I would encounter there, and then I was kind of thrown into it because I couldn't turn away from it. Because and we talked about this on one of your shows, Jackie. That souls who haven't continued on with their journey, they are souls too, even though they can frighten people a little bit, and so it's really good work to be able to help them. Now, I mentioned earlier that a lot of the fans of this show are original fans of Rescue Mediums, which is amazing. So I know one of the questions that some of the fans of our show really want to ask is, can you share with us a memory that you, Jackie Dennison, have from your work on the show on Rescue Mediums that really sticks out as almost like frighteningly memorable for you? Of all people.
Frighteningly memorable. How long have you got? Because each one is very, very different. And you know that because you've done enough spirit investigations and rescues to know that is the case. I think probably one of the scariest moments, and I will say scariest moments, this is one of the early shows, Wolf Island. And we were staying overnight. We were doing an overnight there because we were at the property for X amount of days. And whilst we were there, of course, the agreement was that the crew were going to sleep near to the room that Christine and I we were sharing a room. So they were going to sleep near to the room where we were in case anything happened in the night. And they had to act straight away because you can't say to spirit, excuse me, we're going to clock off now. It's no, you can't do that. So they were going to be prepared for any eventuality. But as it happened, that didn't happen. Christine went downstairs. Some of the crew members went downstairs. One of the crew members was absolutely flat out gone. gone, completely gone. Um, and I was in this bedroom, and I was awakened by a priest that we had encountered in the daytime that we ended up rescuing the next day. And I couldn't wake anyone, I couldn't draw anybody's attention to it. The fact that he was there, to call him all my guides and say, look, can you please do something about this? Because we need a lot of support here. We need a lot of energy here. I can't do this on my own. And we need a film crew. So we need the crew here. But it was really scary. I mean, thankfully, my guides were really, really good, and they were able to sort of calm him down, take him away. But I think he was more curious about who I was, really, rather than it being a rescue situation at the time. But I think I felt very, very isolated on that one. I mean, the next day when everybody was working together, we were able to deal with the whole situation, and obviously the timing was just right at that time. But it was very, very unnerving. But it did teach us a very valuable lesson, that we had to be on guard all the time, and we couldn't separate. You know, it was just, that's how it is. You know, you need somebody to watch your back.
Yeah, I do. I feel that same way too, you know, and you know, in real life, not with a film crew and filming, usually we usually are on our own doing work, but when we do the show, it's really good to do it in pairs. And I also, and I'm sure you'll find the same thing, is that I found if you're working with someone, I have this wonderful fly just floating around here who just went.
I've been watching your fly. Yeah, maybe it needs rescuing.
Sorry, for anyone who doesn't know, I have a horse farm, and so we have flies that you know, folks in the city just don't have. But yeah, I found that working with the partners is really great for a number of reasons. But what I was saying is that I found is that you know, when you're working with someone else, especially when you're filming a show, it's fascinating that, you know, you'll pick up things that the other person won't, and then vice versa, you know. So and sometimes you pick up the same things, and actually a lot of times you can pick up the same imprint, so we can tell the same story, but the spirits that we connect with often can be different. And I always say, and I say to the folks that I'm working with too, when I have guests on the show, is that, look, you're going to tune into what you need to tune into, and I'm going to tune into what I need to tune into, and I'm going to do the work that I need to do, and you're going to do what you need to do. So don't be worried that we may tune into two totally different spirit people, because we're both here for actually a similar purpose, but different, because we are both individuals, right? And so I find that too. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it right there, because we're going to go for a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back to Ghosts of Dufferin County and Beyond. I'm your host, Marianne Kennedy. And for anyone just tuning in, we are here today with Jackie Dennison. Jackie is an internationally acclaimed clairvoyant medium. And Jackie is also the star of the TV show Rescue Medium. So Jackie, welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, I want to ask Jackie, you know, in the work that I do, and even just hearing from fans of the show of Ghosts of Dufferin County, a lot of people have experiences at home where they feel they have sort of like extra residents there with them, okay? And now, one of the things I wanted to ask you, if you could share with our viewers, is, you know, aside from calling someone like yourself or someone like me to assist, what are some things that folks can do sort of like at home themselves that might help their situation if they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable or maybe a little bit uneasy with what's going on?
Yeah. Well, it very much depends on the circumstances as to what's happening, of course. And you've got to rule out the practical things first. So if the door's opening, it's maybe because there's a window open somewhere. You know, let's look at the practical things. And if you rule everything out and things are still happening, is there a pattern to things? Why is there a pattern to things? So there's a number of different things you can look at in that way. I always think it's a good thing to, if you have somebody in spirit that you trust. So say your grandmother's in spirit and you absolutely trust your grandmother 100%, ask her to come in and help. Ask her to come in and sort of protect you and to find out what's happening there. You can Use smudge sticks, you know, the sage smudge sticks. That is great for cleansing the energy, cleansing negative energy. You can burn incense. Of course, lighting candles always lifts the energy, carefully, of course, not no curtains or anything else. Um, uh, that lifts the energy. Music is great for lifting the energy. You know, so make the house your own. That's the thing, because it could be that a spirit had lived in that house before and they're thinking, oh, well, you know, I just want to stay here. I just like being here. Well, yeah, that's okay, but this is my space now. So make it your own. But I think, you know, if in doubt at all, then, you know, bring somebody in, ask somebody to come in. Sometimes, you know, even a blessing will help. Ask the archangels, the angels, whoever you want to come in and help. Yeah, the more the merrier.
Yeah, no, it's really helpful. You know, sometimes we can have experiences that folks can have experiences that startle them. You know, and
Yeah,
they immediately go into a fear space, which just sort of like amplifies every little thing that's going on around them, right? So I
yeah,
really like the messaging around this is to like claim space, to claim power, right?
yeah,
The
absolutely.
power of the form body is like nothing else, right? And so
Yeah,
good, that's super. And you're absolutely right, Jackie. You know, sometimes folks will do everything that they know how to do and they still have a
mm,
problem, and then at that point you'll want to connect with someone who can do, you know, offer some assistance professionally, and it happens more often I think than people think. So don't feel like if this is happening to you at home that it's something that
yeah,
you know, don't need to share with other people or that you shouldn't talk about, because it's
yeah.
much more common than folks think.
There's something else though that you can do, which is really, really practical. You know, if you have a stranger just walk into your house, you say, "Hey, what are you doing here? Get out!" Don't you? You know, and you treat spirit the same. You know, if they're in the house, what are you doing here? This is my house. You know, can you leave? Or even if, you know, if it could be a family member that's you're a little bit unnerved because you don't know whether it is or not, just come back at a reasonable hour. Don't come at night time. Come at a reasonable time. You know,
Yeah.
it's just about taking control, really, as you say.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. You touched on a really good point there that a huge percentage of the time when we have some kind of occurrence happening in a home, it's actually our own loved ones trying to get a message to us, trying to make contact, you know, something
Mm,
along those lines. But when you can't discern energies and you don't know what is what and who is who, then
yeah.
usually it's a little bit frightening, even when it doesn't need to be. So that's interesting. Now tell us, Jackie, what are you doing these days? Because I know you have a couple of shows, things that you're doing. What would we find you doing these days?
Well, I'm doing readings here in Feathers in Northwich. So I'm teaching, but we're teaching over the internet. Obviously, we can't do groups at the moment, but we are looking forward to doing that again in the future. Yeah, I've been because of COVID, I have been doing online stuff. So the Psychic Diaries is something I'm doing with Michael Lamport. As I said before, with Michael, he is the producer of Rescue Mediums. So we do that together. We're doing a couple of other shows. We're doing Rescue Mediums behind the scenes. We've done one season of that. We start again in October with that. We've got a few other things in the pipeline as well, which is good. But yeah, I'm working, I'm busy, I'm loving life. So that is good.
Oh, that's lovely. Tell us about the Psychic Diaries.
The Psychic Diaries are very, very similar to this, really, where we invite different people on who have got different psychic or spiritual skills that they want to share with people. So I know we had you as guest, which was fabulous. We've had Jay Lane on as well. Just different things. We've had the Please Bring Me Home group on as well, which is very, very dear to my heart. So the missing people of Canada, missing people in general. I'm very involved with things here in England in that way. But we wanted to showcase the work that they are doing. So we did a special edition with them. So it's interesting work because you meet lots of different people and we never stop learning, right? So as you're talking to people about their individual expertise, their areas, you think, oh my God, yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't mind having a go at that, you know. So I think I'm learning, and we're all learning all the time. I love working with spirit in whichever way, shape, or form. You know, even like these spirit drawings as well, the psychic art stuff that I do. You know, I did it for the show, but I do spirit guide portraits as well. And I love doing that because you're working with lots of different energies. I think we're lucky, you and I, we're so lucky to be working with spirit in this way.
Yeah, that actually brings me to my next question. If someone wanted to work with you, Jackie, and of course, right now it's going to be remote because of COVID, what types of readings, what types of services can people connect with you for?
Well, they are clairvoyant readings. So I work with my spirit guides to connect with loved ones in spirit, to pass messages on, to let them know that they're okay. I also work with cards as well because they're great for direction. But I work with them clairvoyantly, as I'm sure, you know, a lot of mediums do. So you look at the card and you think, oh, okay, what do you want me to say about that card, rather than what the card has got to say. So that's one of the things I offer is to be able to do a reading for someone. Past life regression, I'm a past life regression therapist. I didn't know I could do it online, because I've always done it one to one, but yes, since COVID, yeah, that's what's happened. I've been able to do past life regression in that way, which is a different direction for me with that, and yeah, spirit guide portraits. So, and teaching, of course, teaching. I love to teach. I just love to be able to work in that way.
Yeah, so two things I'd like you to share with our viewers at home. One, what are spirit guide drawings, and what would that look like for somebody? What do they do?
A spirit guide draw. Well, what I do is I ask for a photograph of the person that I'm going to be doing the reading for. So say I had a photograph of you, I would focus that on your eyes in the photograph, and then I would meditate and ask for a spirit guide to come forward that connected with your energy. And then I would just start to draw. I draw in pastel. And so sometimes I can start with the eyes, sometimes with the nose, sometimes it's just with the colour in the background. So I might start with just going like blue or green or yellow, and then the face eventually emerges from the picture. And all the time I'm doing that, I'm jotting notes down. So it could be that I'm putting love down, or I'm putting the name Joshua down, or well, it could be anything that I'm writing down. When the portrait is finished, I put it next to the photograph, and then the channeled message comes. So the messages normally are like a page and a half of the messages that are being given to the recipient. So, but I love working with spirit energy in that way because it's such a high vibration.
Yeah, it's different than loved ones, that's for sure.
Sure.
So someone would have a drawing made and a reading, a typed out reading.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Next question. Let's just talk real briefly about past life regression. A lot of fascinating work, a lot of healing comes out of that. Why might someone want to experience either past life regression or a life between lives regression? What might someone get out of that?
I think it's about understanding your life path, really. It's understanding where you've come from, where you are now, and then that can help you to go forward. So maybe patterns. Is there a pattern that's being repeated? Do we make the same mistakes? Are we with the same soul group of people, which of course we are, but how can we change the dynamics of that to make it work now? So I think I love doing past life work. It's so interesting, especially when you can get enough information to go and then research it. Because I always say to people, I do the regressions I let them experience it. I don't say to them, oh, this is your Akashic record. I've got your book from the Akashic Library. This is what I can see here. And I know a lot of therapists do that in that way. That's just not how I work. I like them to experience it themselves through a meditation. Hello, fly. I knew that fly in a previous lifetime.
Yeah, no, and there are differences, right? We can experience some past life memories vicariously, so through someone else, like if someone explores our Akashic records, whatever that is, and I've also found for folks, they say, should I explore past life experiences through the Akashic records or through past life regression? And I mean, it's ultimately up to an individual, but sometimes experiences in past lives are sometimes a little bit traumatic, and it might be really difficult for someone to have a direct soul memory of that during regression. So sometimes it's helpful to go in the other way, where it's not a direct experience, it's a vicarious one, but it's through someone who you know trust and is very reputable, working in something like the Akashic records. But yes, one could go sort of one way or the other. But I have found that there is really like tremendous growth and healing potential having that direct experience under hypnosis or deep meditation, whatever that, however you deliver that personally. Really, really valuable work to be done there. So that's great that you also do that. So for our viewers at home, it's probably something you might want to explore. And if you've worked with me before, you know that past life regression or life between lives regression is always something that I sort of recommend to experience on the soul journey. So, okay, so moving on from that space, Jackie, any trips planned to Canada soon at all?
Oh, yes. Fingers crossed. May next year. Fingers crossed. We're coming out in May next year.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
We're really hopeful that we'll get that date from you. We'll get to share that with our viewers. So if anyone wants to connect with Jackie while she's here in Canada, hopefully face to face, as sort of
it would be good.
that would be really fascinating. Well, Jackie, we have all of your information for our viewers to get in contact with you. I highly recommend working with Jackie, even in the UK, because of course everyone's doing work remotely. So if you have a chance to connect with her, do that. Jackie, we thank you for being here. And guys, we are going to let you go, and we'll see you next episode.